Hello children, welcome to this new class in physics. We are going to discuss refraction through a prism, which is an interesting phenomenon. There are many aspects to it, like dispersion, for example, right? So let's begin with refraction of light through a prism. Refraction of light through prism. Let's consider prism here. A prism is basically what? It's a homogeneous refracted medium. These two are the refracting surfaces. This is called base, and this is called prism angle. We'll denote this angle by E. And there are two refracting surfaces here, you can see. This is surface 1 and this is surface 2. If you leave the base, imagine a ray is incident here on the first surface. Now children, this ray which is incident on the first surface will be undergoing refraction here. And again this ray will be refracted to the second surface. So this ray is refracted like this, let's say. And finally, this ray emerges at the other end. Okay? So there are two refractions taking place simultaneously at two refracting surfaces. Let's draw the normals. This is normal at the first surface. Let's make it dotted. And then this is another normal here. This is the other normal. These normals, when extended, they are meeting out here. So, you can clearly see, let's take this point as P. So, PQ is the incident ray, QR is the refracted ray, I'll let Q out here, and RS is emergent ray. I is the angle of incidence, E is the angle of emergence, and there are two refractions taking place. One is refraction of the first surface, let's call it R1, and then here we have R2. R1 and R2 are angles of refraction of the two surfaces. Now when a light ray is refracted to a prism, then mathematically it follows two rules. But before we discuss these two rules, we will show here angular deviation. This is how the original ray was going, and this is how the emergent ray is going out of the prism. If you extend it backwards, so children, this will be angle of deviation. When a light ray is refracted to a prism, then these angles I, E, A, delta, R1 and R2, they follow certain set of guidelines. In the given diagram, children, PQ is, we have PQ is incident ray, QR is refracted ray, and RS is the what? Emergent ray. The prism angle is A, I the angle of incidence, E is the angle of emergence, R1 and R2 are angles of refraction. There are two laws that are obeyed here. The first law is, we have A equals to R1 plus R2, and the second law is I plus E is equal to A plus delta. Whenever light will be reflected to the prism, these two will be always followed. Prism angle is equal to sum of angles and refraction of two surfaces, and I plus E means sum of angles of incidence and emergence is equal to sum of the prism angle is also called refracting angle. Let here E is called prism angle, also called refracting angle. Okay, so these two rules will be followed. I will proving these two rules in exam also. You will get to prove. So let's see how we prove. I take this angle, children, as alpha, and I'll take this angle as beta. These angles alpha and beta are not part of our discussion. Actually, they'll get eliminated later on. And we have to remember this angle and this angle is 90 degree. So, and when extended the normal submitting in a point T out here, let's say this point is T. I'll let it separately because otherwise you'll think it's a continuation of the base T. So, AQTR is basically what? It is cyclic quadrilateral. Why? Because this angle Q is 90, angle R is 90, 90 plus 90 is 180. So, automatically A plus T will also be 180 because sum of all the four angles of quadrilateral is our 360. We will be seeing that. Remember, we have taken these two angles to be alpha and beta. So, children, proof, let us see how we will prove this. We have delta is equal to alpha plus beta. Why? External angle. Delta is the external angle for internal angles alpha and beta. So, delta is equal to how much of, children? Alpha plus beta. Now, if I look at this angle I, then I will be equal to how much of? R1 plus alpha. Why? Vertically opposite angles. If this angle is I, so this whole angle will be I, and this whole angle is how much of? R1 plus alpha. Similarly, we have E equals to R2 plus beta, again the vertically opposite angles. So, this we need to keep in mind. We have I is equal to alpha plus R1. The reason is what? Vertically opposite angles. And similarly, E equals to R2 plus beta or beta plus R2. Reason is same, vertically opposite angles. Clear? So, I got equation 1, I got equation 2 and I got equation 3. Now, children, if I look at triangle QTR, will you proving first A is equal to R1 plus R2? See how will you prove? In triangle QTR, R1 plus R2 plus angle T is equal to how much of, children? 180 degree. Clear? Okay. Now, in quadrilateral AQTR, in quadrilateral AQTR, if you look at quadrilateral AQTR, children, then you have angle A plus angle Q plus angle T plus angle R will be equal to how much? 360 degree. And we know that Q2 is a normal and RT is also normal. So, this angle is going to be equal to how much? 90, and this angle is also going to be equal to how much? 90. So, let us write angle A plus angle Q is 90 plus angle T plus angle R is 90, that is equal to 360. If I simplify, children, then angle A plus angle T is equal to how much you have? 90 plus 90 is how much? 180. So, 360 minus 180. So, angle A plus angle T will be equal to how much here? 180. This is equation 5. So, when I look at equation 5 and 4, the right hand side of these two equations is how much you have? 180. R1 plus R2 plus angle T equals to 180. Angle A plus angle T is also equal to 180. So, if the right hand side is equal, the left hand side will also be equal. So, we will say here equate or equating 4 and 5. Children, if you equate these two equations 4 and 5, then what do we get? We have R1 plus R2 plus angle A angle T is equal to angle A plus angle T. We can cancel out angle T from both sides. So, what do we get? R1 plus R2 is equal to angle A. Value of angle A, how much you are taking? A. So, we can say here A equals to R1 plus R2. Now, children, this is proved equation 6. We actually proved that A equals to R1 plus R2. Alright. Now, once we got A equals to R1 plus R2, I will be adding equations 2 and 3. Let us add equations 2 and 3. If I add, children, 2 and 3, then what will you get on the left hand side? I plus C. Right hand side, what will you get? Alpha plus beta plus R1 plus R2. Add it. 2 and 3. I plus E is equal to alpha plus beta plus R1 plus R2. Children, we know already that alpha plus beta is equal to how much? Delta. And we just now proved that R1 plus R2 is equal to A. So, we can say here, this implies that I plus E is equal to delta plus A, or we have I plus E is equal to A plus delta. So, children, we prove both the propositions. One is A equals to R1 plus R2 and the other one is I plus E is equal to A plus delta. So, whenever light will be undergoing refraction through prism, these two conditions will hold true. A is equal to R1 plus R2 and I plus E is equal to A plus delta. Clear? Now, we will see what will be the condition for angular deviation to be minimum. Under what condition angular deviation will be minimum? Children, remember, angular deviation is minimum if R1 is equal to R2, angle of incidence is equal to angle of emergence, and therefore, the third condition follows that the light ray travelling through the prism is parallel to the base of the prism. Okay? So, conditions for delta minimum, condition for angular deviation to be minimum, right? There are three conditions. The first condition is so, children, these are the three conditions for angular deviation to be minimum. Angular deviation is written as delta minimum or simply it is written as delta m. Okay, there are three conditions. One is angle of incidence should be equal to angle of emergence. Number one. Number two, angle of refraction both the surfaces should be equal. Meaning if this is 30 degree, this will be 30 degree. R1 is equal to R2. And then number three, the refracted ray is parallel to the base of the prism. Meaning this ray QR, this ray should be parallel to the base. So these are the three conditions for angular deviation to be minimum. Okay, let's see. Since we already discussed what will be the condition for angle of deviation to be minimum, now we will try to seek a relation between refractive index of a prism and also the angle of minimum deviation. Let's say this, here you have prism and then a light is incident here, refracts and then emerges, right? And then here we have direction of the incident ray and here you have the direction of the emergent ray. This angle of deviation, you know this is prism angle E, and then there will be two angles of refraction here. One is R1 and the other angle is R2. Angle of incidence is I, angle of emergence is E. So we are going to find out what will be the relation between refractive index of the prism and angle of minimum deviation. Here we have, for angle of deviation to be minimum, for angle of deviation to be minimum, meaning for delta m, we have I is equal to E and R1 is equal to R2, and let's say each angle is R, because when these two angles will be equal, they will have a fixed value. So R1 becomes R and R2 also becomes R. Clear? Now children, we know I plus E is equal to A plus delta. Clear? But when delta is equal to delta m, then I is equal to E and R1 equals to R2 is equal to R. Now we get here two relations. If I use this I, but E is equal to I, what you get? A plus delta m. Because when delta equals to delta m, then I is equal to E. Now I plus I is equal to how much here? 2I. So let's write 2I is equal to A plus delta m. Then how much is I? A plus delta m by 2. So I got first equation. I equals A plus delta m by 2. Now if I go to the other equation, A equals to R1 plus R2. So A is equal to how much here? R plus R. So A equals to how much here? Twice R. Then how much is R? A by 2. So children, we got the value of I, which is in terms of A and delta, and we got the value of R in terms of prism angle, that is R equals to A by 2. Now if you use Snell's law, using Snell's law, if you use Snell's law children, then mu is how much here? Refractive index is sin I by sin R. I am writing mu here. If you want, you can use n, that's upon you, when you can use any symbol. Mu is equal to sin I by sin R. Let's substitute the values. Then mu is equal to sin, how much is I children? I is A plus delta m by 2. So let's put here sin A plus delta m by 2 and R is equal to sin A by 2. So this is an important relation that we get. Mu equals to sin A plus delta m by 2 divided by sin A by 2. Very important formula. Also they will ask you to prove this. Okay. For example, suppose I say if angle A is equal to 60 degree and angle of minimum deviation is 30 degree, find refractive index, find mu. So this becomes very easy. You can use this formula directly. Mu will be sin of 60 plus 30, A plus delta m by 2, 60 plus 30 divided by 2 divided by sin 60 by 2. If you simplify children, then how much you get? Mu equals to sin 90 by 2 is 45 divided by sin of 30, right? If you substitute the values, what do you get? 1 by root 2 divided by sin theta is 1 by 2. So root 2. So mu becomes how much here? Root 2 or 1.414. So you can get sums like this and you should be able to solve very easily. Now I will be doing one approximation out here which is important again for exams. If you have done, if angle theta is small, then sin theta is nearly equal to sin theta. In fact, in real practice these angles are quite small. So we have for small theta, sin theta is nearly equal to how much? Theta. Now we can use this approximation to transform the value of refractive index in terms of angles. This one. We can transform the refractive index in terms of A and delta m. Let's see this. This is an important result we will be getting. Mu is equal to, we wrote sin A plus delta m by 2 divided by sin E by 2. And then we said for small angle sin theta is same as theta. So I can remove theta. I can say this is equal to A plus delta m by 2 divided by E by 2. Now we can cancel out 2 and 2. So what we get? Mu is equal to A plus delta m divided by E. Yes? If you cross multiply, then what do you get? Mu is equal to A plus delta m. So delta m is equal to how much, children? Mu minus A, or delta m is equal to mu minus 1 into A. Now this is a very important result and we will be using this result to explain. We will be using this result to explain the phenomenon of dispersion of light. We can clearly see that for a given prism, A will be constant. That means refractive index will be the sole deciding factor as to what will be the angle of minimum deviation. Clear? Meaning angle of minimum deviation actually depending on the value of refractive index. Okay? Let us say this. Okay, children. Once we understood the relation between angular deviation and the prism angle and the refractive index of the material of the prism, we will understand how does the angular deviation depend upon the angle of incidence. So, we will have to see here, we will be seeing now variation of angular deviation with angle of incidence. Angle of incidence is denoted by I. Children, if you plot a graph between angle of incidence and I, angle of deviation what? Delta. Then you find a graph comes something like this. Now what does the graph tell us? As we increase the angle of incidence, then angular deviation goes on decreasing. See now, I am increasing angle of incidence, angular deviation goes on decreasing. And for a certain value of angle of incidence, angle of deviation becomes minimum. At this point we know I will be equal to E, meaning angle of incidence will become angle of emergence. If you increase the angle of incidence beyond this point, then you can see angular deviation again starts what? Increasing. Clear? So what do we infer from the graph? With increase in angle of incidence, angular deviation goes on decreasing. For a certain value of angle of incidence, angular deviation becomes minimum. If the angle of incidence is increased further, then angular deviation starts increasing. Okay. So let's write about this. With angle of deviation starts increasing. Starts increasing. So children, this is the trend of the graph. We have written everything out here. With increase in angle of incidence, angular deviation starts what? Decreasing and goes on decreasing. For a certain value of angle of incidence, angular deviation becomes minimum. If we increase the angle of incidence beyond this point, then angular deviation again starts increasing. So this should be borne in mind by you, that angle of incidence will change. How? With increase in I, delta will decrease. For a certain value of angular incidence will become minimum. If increase angle of incidence more, the angular deviation will go on increasing. Now this graph is important for you and you should remember it. Okay? And all the time remember that delta equals to angular deviation is equal to mu minus 1 into E. Meaning angular deviation is actually depending upon the refractive index for a given prism, because for a given prism it will become constant. Okay, let's see this. Now children, once you understood refraction through a prism, we'll understand what is diffraction of light or dispersion of light. Dispersion of light. What is dispersion of light? Children, this is a prism. And imagine a situation where white light is incident on one of the refracting surfaces of the prism with the prism angle E, and this is white light. Clear? Now, in fact children, this is, when I am saying white light, I am talking about what? Visible light. And we know that visible light lies between 4000 angstrom to roughly 7800, but we will be taking it as what? 8000 angstrom. This is the longest wavelength and this is the smallest wavelength, and we know that wavelength of red is very large compared to wavelength for violet. Violet has got minimum wavelength and red has got maximum wavelength. Now Fourier gave a formula that actually refractive index. Now it is very important for you to understand. Like I may say that for this prism mu is equal to 1.5. So you can ask, okay, now this 1.5 is what? For which color? Then I will be saying refractive index of the prism 1.5 in fact is mean of the refractive indices that the prism has for different colors. Fourier gave a relation between the refractive index of the material of a prism and the wavelength of light used. Remember that refractive index of the material of a prism depends upon the wavelength of the light used, and the relation is mu is equal to A plus B by lambda square C by lambda to the power 4, where A, B and C are constants and lambda is the wavelength. Now you can very well understand the C by lambda to the power 4 will become the dominant factor. One more thing, the smaller is lambda, the greater will be the value of refractive index. Now when I look at the visible region, then you find a red has got maximum and violet has got minimum wavelength. So lesser is the wavelength, more is the refractive index. So we conclude that the refractive wavelength for violet is very small compared to wavelength for red. Or we can just say we do with small also. Wavelength of violet is smaller compared to wavelength for red, and this is inverse relation So we can say mu for violet will be large compared to mu for red. Clear? And in the previous discussion, children, we discussed delta is equal to mu minus 1 in 2a. Now let's explore this. Angular deviation is depending upon the what? Refractive index, and refractive index of violet is maximum, red is what? Minimum. If I see here, then angular deviation for red will be mu for red minus 1 into a, and for violet will be mu v minus 1 into a. And here we are saying that refractive index of violet is more than refractive index for red. So from these two we conclude that refractive index of angular deviation for violet will be more than angular deviation for red. That means when the white light will pass through a prism, then going by this relation, we find that for each color, the refractive index of the prism will be different. And as refractive index is different, then for different colors, angular deviation will also be different. So when we see a white light striking a prism, then something like this happens. Violet will be in maximum. What will be in maximum? Violet. And then this is violet. In the middle, this is yellow, and this is red. And then what will you find? We'll find that white light has split into how many colors? 7 colors. So let's mark it separately. So you can see that white light has actually split in how many colors? 7 colors. And all these colors are going to be focusing here on the screen. This is violet. These are the 7 colors we are going to get on the screen. So you can see the angular deviation for red is what? Minimum, and violet is maximum. If I extend this like this, the original direction of the incident ray, then this is where violet is going to focus, and this is where red is going to focus. This will be angular deviation for red, this will be angular deviation for violet. And this yellow light will come in the middle. Yellow light will come in the what? Middle. Clear? This angular deviation for violet is maximum, and angular deviation for red is minimum. Clear? So what do you conclude? When white light is allowed to pass through a prism, it splits into 7 colors. This is called what? Dispersion of light. What is the reason? The reason is here we discussed. The refractive index of metal and the prism depends upon the wavelength of light used. Since violet has minimum wavelength, therefore its refractive index is maximum. And red has maximum wavelength, its refractive index is minimum. In other words, each color will be bending by a different angle, because each color will have a different wavelength, and for each different color there will be different refractive index. Hence, there will be different what? Angle of deviation. So what is dispersion? Let's define the phenomenon dispersion of light. Clear, children? So dispersion being caused is different in what? Refractive index. We got different wavelengths, different colors got different wavelengths. And then you have to remember that angular deviation for violet is maximum, angular deviation for red is minimum. So the angular deviation for violet minus angular deviation for red is called angular dispersion. So here we have a term, children, angular dispersion. Angular dispersion is what? Angular dispersion is difference between the angular deviation for violet and red light. And this is actually the annular region over which the dispersion is taking place, right? So, difference between is called angular dispersion. Clear, children? So, if I have to calculate angular dispersion here, how much will be that? Angular dispersion will be angular deviation for violet minus angular deviation for red. Clear? And for violet it will be mu v minus 1 into A minus mu r minus 1 into A. If you solve, it will be mu for violet minus mu for red into A. So, this is the angular dispersion. And then children, often we come across in numericals the refractive index for a prism is suppose 1.6, 1.45 or 1.5. But here you are finding that refractive index actually for each color is different. So, you may wonder what refractive index is given in the question, whether it is red, whether it is violet, whether it is green, whatever it is. So, actually children, the refractive index which is given is called mean refractive index, and mean refractive index is mean of refractive indexes for violet and red. Clear? And this corresponds to the refractive index of yellow light. Yellow light will have same refractive index as the mean refractive index will come. Clear? So, here I will be writing this term for you, mean refractive index mu will be equal to same as mu for yellow, and mu for yellow can also be considered as average or refractive index for violet and red. So, you should bear in mind for numericals this. So, we said what is angular dispersion, and then we have mean dispersion. Mean dispersion will be angle of deviation. Mean deviation will be same as angle of deviation for yellow light, and its value will be mu minus 1 into A. And this mean is here mu for y. Clear? Now, there is another term that we use, children, is called dispersive power. Dispersive power, and dispersive power is denoted by omega. For a prism, we have another term that is called dispersive power, and dispersive power is actually the ratio of angular dispersion and mean dispersion. So, dispersive power omega is equal to angular dispersion by mean dispersion. Omega becomes mu v minus mu r into A divided by mu minus 1 into A. You can cancel out A and A. So, how much will be omega? Omega will be equal to mu v minus mu r divided by mu minus 1. So, this is dispersive power of a prism. Clear? So, children, we discussed extensively the meaning of dispersive power. We come across spectrum. So, spectrum is what? The band of 7 colors we get on the screen. If I place screen here, I can see 7 colors clearly. So, 7 colors are not being produced by the what? Prism. The prism is merely separating these 7 colors due to the phenomenon of dispersion. Okay. So, children, in this class only this much we will be discussing. Thank you very much. Okay.